No.
All right, good evening, everyone. I see we've got a few people in the chat already. I'm very pleased to say that I am joined by my good mate, Jian BATRA. How are you doing, my friend? Thank you for coming on the
I'm
channel.
very well. Thank you. I'm very well. I'm looking forward to doing this. First time that me and you have podded together, streamed together. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, likewise. How is your season going in FPL so far, would you say? Only 3 game weeks in, I know, but...
Yeah. I'd say it's a decent start. Like I'm on 229 points. Puts me like 800k. I don't think I can complain about that. Like just given the rank and the placing within the content creators league. So overall, happy with the start. Game week 3 wasn't so good. Got punished a little bit on the Sunday because I didn't have too much coverage there with Eze and Salah. But apart from that, I'm happy with the start and the team looks decent.
Yeah, sorry, folks. I've not been able to. It's my laptop. I'm not able to share any graphics. But are you able to? Do you openly share your team? You're able to talk through the players that you've got at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, would you say you're not on Salah then? Have you got Haaland but no Salah?
Yeah. So I'll just run through it quickly. I started with Sells over Henderson, which is I think just giving me a few extra points, which is nice. And then at the back, I've had Gabriel playing every game, which has been cool. I think 14 from 3 is not the worst thing. And then the other 3 are made up by Robinson, Lewis Hall, and Konsa. The third defensive spot's been a bit awkward because it's gone from Konsa, and then I played Lewis Hall in game week 2, got benched. Konsa obviously didn't keep it clean this week, so that hasn't been great. But Robinson at 4-5, 2 assists.
He's done all right, and
bonus points as well. Yeah, been great. The midfield, I went with the double premium strategy of Son and Saka. I mean, like, I think Son has done really well. It's just the fact that others have kept pace to an extent. So I probably would have liked a bit more out of him in game week 3. And then they're partnered by Rodgers and Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe, I think 5 points per game at 5.5 has been brilliant. Rodgers, like obviously only the first game. I had Nkunku in that spot before, so that spot really needs to improve. And then up top, I think it's been really solid. Everyone's got Isak, and then I've had Havertz and Haaland and Captain Haaland every week. So yeah.
Sounds good, mate. Sounds good. I like the pick of Sells as well. I wish I did that at the start of the season too. How are you finding? Go on, carry on.
To be fair, I kind of wish I didn't go Sod now. I kind of wish I just found that Eze slot and then went to Trent, because then I would be on a very hot start. Like yourself, I've seen you've had a brilliant start. So yeah.
Yes, and to be honest, mate, I'm trying to milk it as much as I can, but it's definitely down to a bit of luck. Like I just wanted to have Haaland and Salah to get off to a safe start, and obviously they both delivered, and that's kind of my secret, really. And yeah, I had Salah captain game week 1, who obviously outperformed Haaland. Luckily, triple captained Haaland in game week 2, and to be honest, it was probably my stream chat on the deadline stream that I was doing for it that really tempted me to do it. I was really on the fence, and then I just captained him in game week 3 as well. So yeah, just nailing the captains has been the secret, I guess. But you mentioned Isak there, who we both have. He's a bit of a contentious one. So I've seen he's been sold by a load of players, hasn't he? But not gone down in price. Just going to check now.
I think it's like 500k sales.
Yeah.
600K.
What do you make of him? Are you sticking him in keeping him in your team?
Yeah, so I am. I think like the main thing about him and why people are selling him is just for Salah, right? It's not really too much of a straight swap. I'm getting more bullish on Salah, but I'm also getting more bullish on Isak, so it becomes a little bit of a difficult one. I think Wolves have definitely shown a susceptibility to conceding a fair few goals. I think Isak's actually looked pretty decent. I think the problems have more so lied with Newcastle as opposed to him, but with Tonali coming back, I think that definitely helps their midfield in all departments. So yeah, I'm very happy to own him for the next 2. I think Wolves and Fulham have definitely shown they can be a bit leaky at times. So yeah, but they're obviously the route to Salah is through him, and I'm probably not as confident on Forest's defence at Anfield as I was maybe a couple of days ago after doing a bit more watching of them. I also do think that Liverpool probably... It's the fact that he hasn't had a lot of chances or actions to get these returns, but he's been so ruthless and efficient. And the fact that he looks so sharp sort of suggests to me that he could keep it up. So yeah, I think I'm looking to keep Isak in 4 because Forest have been decent, but in 5, that's when I really might think of taking like a hit or something to facilitate Salah.
Yeah, sounds... Yeah, I'm thinking it all depends on when I wildcard, really. I've had a really good start, but I still don't feel massively happy with my team, which feels really strange to say. So I think it all just depends on when I play my wildcard. So I've still got.
Do you want to run through your team and think and like what you're thinking about with the wildcard strategy?
Yeah, can do. I'll just reel it off. So Dean Henderson in goal. Robinson, Guardiola, Colwill, Hall, and then Johnson of Ipswich. I just got Harry Winks as like my cheap midfielder, and then Gordon, Eze, Salah, Smith Rowe. And then up front, I've got Isak, Haaland, and I've still got Solanke kicking around as well, who, to be honest, I don't think is the worst option in the world to just keep in my team, providing he's fit for Game Week 4 onwards, I reckon.
I think it's a really strong team. Like it's a really, really, really good team. The defense is a little different to most, but yeah, I think it's really solid. So what are your wildcard plans with that? And your Solanke plans?
I think it'll probably come Game Week 6 because I'm really keen on getting Mbumo and Wissa in my team. I think from Game Week 6 or maybe even 5, to be honest, that's the time to get them in. And then, like you say, my defence is a bit different, and I've just not been that impressed with Guardiola when I've seen him. The whole reason I picked him was like the attacking upside that he showed last season. But with him and Rico Lewis in the team, it's obviously been Rico Lewis is the one that's been doing the attacking and going forwards. I've just not been all that impressed with Guardiola. And, well, Man City have been the same as they were last season in terms of just conceding goals through low XG. So I think it's going to be a bit of a trend with them going forwards, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I get you. I think they've definitely deployed somewhat of an asymmetric system. You see Rico popping up in those pockets so much, running off Haaland at times, getting into the box, whereas Guardiola's definitely playing that left centre back in a 3 role type of more. And I think especially with the fact that there's more responsibility on that left winger, you saw Grealish and De Bruyne, how well they interchanged on that left side. There's no real need for Guardiola. So yeah, I think dumping him. You also don't have mass Arsenal coverage in your side. So I think like wildcard 6 for that to target Brentford and Arsenal, if you're bullish there, would be great.
It's a fair shout, yeah, especially without Arsenal. I definitely have gotten away with one there, not having them without the Arsenal players that I don't have not gone absolutely huge where I've missed them. I'm sort of, in terms of replacing Guardiola, I'm sort of 50-50 between Arsenal and Robertson. I really like the look of Robertson. I don't have 7 million to get Trent in. I just like Liverpool defence in general, not conceding a goal in. Well, it sounds like you've done more analysis on teams than me, but I've been pretty convinced by them defensively. I don't know what you think.
They've been great. Yeah, I think they've been great. And like you see Robertson and Robinson, they're actually having like a really similar role. I saw Robinson in preseason, it was like underlaps and overlaps. Iwobi was going wide for him. And then like I see Liverpool and I see Diaz going wide for him, and you see Robertson getting into those half spaces a lot and pushing on, unlike he did towards the back end of the Klopp era.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think at 6, like really, really good stuff. If he can stay fit and Tsimikas doesn't really get a look in, like you said, I think he's a great option.
Yeah, definitely. Just trying to think of the rest of the players. Yeah, I'm sort of a little bit disappointed, I guess, by Anthony Gordon, but I've got a goal out of him in the couple of games that he's played. And I guess, to be honest, that's quite an easy swap to Mbumo if I want to do it. So yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it's not too bad. And Wolves away for Newcastle next up. I remember I was on deadline stream for Game Week 3 who did Newcastle play in Game Week 3? They played Tottenham.
Spurs.
Yeah, and people were like, oh, should I sell Isak? Tottenham's a tough fixture, etc. I certainly had that in my chat, but I was like, nah, no way. I think the next Tottenham, Wolves and Fulham scream games where Newcastle could do well. So maybe I should just stick with Gordon for a little while longer.
I think Gordon's like an interesting one because obviously he's so good off the left, but if Harvey Barnes is going to be on the side and he plays on the right, then I do think he becomes a worse asset. However, I was watching the game against Spurs and you see the set piece threat on top of everything he already has and how well he performs on the BPS. And it's like, oh, he's still like fundamentally such a good asset. So I think I'm in a similar boat to you. I think I'd persist. Maybe give him one more week. And if he fails away at Wolves or doesn't look too sharp, then you can probably jump ship to Mbumo if you're not looking at wildcarding.
Based on, if you can remember all the players I talked through, is there anything else you'd recommend with what I got there? I guess Lewis Hall's the other one that I've been a little bit disappointed by. Although it's just in the back of my mind, I have like a fantasy that he becomes the first choice left back at some point and proves himself.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's realistic.
What I read from Newcastle fans following the season starting is that like in the more physical games and away from home, maybe Kelly plays there, but in the games at home when they have more possession and he can come into midfield and influence things more there, then he'll play. So I think maybe a good rotation to have just in the cheaper games. I think, but like, yeah, he could definitely be a transfer out, especially if you can find the funds. Maybe go up to like a Porro, for example, who's definitely someone I'm looking at in Game Week 5. And then I assume Solanke will be back in 4. And like Arsenal are riceless without Declan Rice in 4, and I think Spurs could definitely score there.
Yeah, so of course they are.
I wouldn't actually mind going like Lewis Hall to Porro if you can find the money by saving a transfer and then using 2 and 5.
Yeah, because I was saying I was big on Wissa and Mbumo, so going Gordon and Solanke to Wissa and Mbumo saves me a lot of cash. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. That's a good set of moves. And then to be honest, with the amount of transfers I could bank over the next couple of weeks, I'd be able to do that without even using my wildcard.
Yeah. What like put me off Porro initially, I was really close, but I just like, I don't think they'll keep many clean sheets. And the fact that he's got one and then he's got an attacking return, it's really solid. He's playing even more attacking than I suspect.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's like, yeah, the volume of shots is ridiculous, but also the positioning, this like right side 10 role. And he's just constantly there. So I think your dog has definitely had a little bit of attacking responsibilities relinquished. So yeah, I think he's so cheap at 5.5 for what he's doing. I think at 6, yeah, you can argue otherwise, but at 5.5, I do think that like he's a really solid option just to have set and forget.
I don't know why I've got Levi Colwill sitting in my team either. He was my replacement for Quansah, but well, I guess you're a Chelsea fan, aren't you? So I probably probably said something I'll regret there.
I think he's okay. Like the next 4 aren't bad, right? They're not great, but they're certainly not bad. He's got a goal in him from set pieces, I feel like, at times. So, at 4.5, it's difficult to go too wrong there.
Fair enough. We got a couple questions in the chat as well. I've sort of answered that by saying I'm not really sure, but Manon has asked, when are you guys planning to play your wild card? You got any thoughts on when yours is going to go in?
Yeah, so I kind of planned it at the start of the season before it started to go in Gameweek 12. My thinking was that I trusted the Arsenal assets to do the business in 1 to 5. And to be fair, they have I think Havertz is on 22, Saka's on 24. It's just that Salah's gone so parabolic that I guess it doesn't seem like it, but they've still done well. And then by the time that everyone's wildcarding them in 6, I won't need to, and I can use those free transfers elsewhere. And then Gameweek 12, the fixture swing's big. I can't rattle off my head exactly which teams it is, but it's not like teams that you're going to have a lot of coverage of beforehand. And I just think that playing a wildcard so early doesn't account for any unknowns. Like what happens in Game Week 8 if we got 5 big injuries and stuff. So I kind of prefer having it in the back pocket and just trusting Arsenal, given the fact that they're such a good team and the 2 assets you go from there are really high expected minutes, penalties, and the lot.
Yeah, I remember last couple of seasons I've done an early wild card. Unfortunately, my team's kind of fallen apart in those seasons, but I always remember getting to the later game weeks before the second one becomes in play and just wishing I had it in hand. So yeah, makes sense. I think that does sound like a good time.
Yeah, hopefully. I think I just got to make sure that you guys will obviously have way more optimized teams than me when we come to wildcard 6, right? Because you're wildcarding. So for me, it's just making sure that I hit the fringe as well. That for example, the Emil Smith throws, and if I can do that, then it'll be okay.
See if we've got any other questions here. FPL Lord is saying, should he do Saka and Bruno to Salah and Eze for a hit? Do you think that's worth a hit?
I think if he's going to captain Haaland this week, then I probably wouldn't do it because you're taking 4 points out to get the upside. It's Saka and Bruno, right? Yeah. I think Bruno, as much as I don't like him as an asset at the moment, he does have he probably has the best fixture, I think, on the calendar, which is Southampton. So I would say, considering it's for a hit and you probably won't captain him, no. You can always do it next week and get you can get Salah. The thing is, even if you wanted Eze that bad, you could even go Bruno to Salah in 1. But I don't think I'd do the hit from Saka to Salah when there's not captaincy on the line. Yeah,
makes sense. And someone's asked a similar question as well. Would you do just in isolation Saka to Salah? Would you do that for a hit? Do you think it's worth it for the next couple of games?
I think if you captain him in 4 and you have that much conviction about Salah, sure. But I think I wouldn't, because I would captain Haaland anyway, and I quite like Saka. You probably want him back in 6, right? I think the mass upside in Salah is in Game Week 5.
Yeah, completely agree.
I have a question for you, actually. What's your plans with Solanke, macro level? Are you just looking at selling him, or are you open to keeping him with the fact that Spurs have got a good run and a 9 in a 9 system is always really solid?
Yeah, I think I'm open to keeping him, to be honest. I bought him at the start of the season for a reason, and he's just I think he's really unlucky with the injury. I think he would miss probably 2 or 3 games in the last 3 or 4 seasons, something crazy like that. And yeah, to be honest, I didn't watch the Tottenham game in Game Week 1 to know if he was really actually that dangerous, but even then it was only 1 game. And I would have previously been put off by that Arsenal fixture with Arsenal, obviously being as amazing defensively as they are. But without Rice, I think they're a slightly different outfit. I think
hugely, yeah.
We'll see how he gets on against Arsenal and then assess from there, I think, if he does play. Of course, Andrew's been pretty open about it in press conferences, hasn't he, to be fair. So if he isn't fit to go, I think we'll know about it, and then maybe I'll make a move. But the thing I guess the thing in my mind is the player I'd want to bring in for him is Wissa, who has Man City in game week 4. So, I mean, it's not the most attractive fixture to be bringing a player in for, I guess. That's my only thinking.
For sure. I mean, City away has never really gone to target.
Sorry, apparently I had your volume down a bit low, so I've adjusted that. So hopefully that's sorted. That'll be my end.
All good.
Don't worry about yours.
Worries. Okay, cool. All good.
We had a question. Best 5. I'm going to change the question a little bit because I think it'll make it a bit better. It said best 5 million mid for game weeks 4 and 5, but I'm going to change that to who is the best under 6 million midfielder in the game at the moment, in your opinion?
I mean, so let's just rattle through the options. We got Minter, we got Smith Rowe, we got the really popular Nana at the moment, who I don't like.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Sustainable, yeah. Apart from Smith Rowe and Minter, do we have any real standout options? Rogers,
Semenyo.
Yeah, Semenyo. It's just the fact that like the fixtures in the next two are pretty ugly. It's like Chelsea, and then who is it afterwards?
I think you got Liverpool in there as well, haven't they?
Yeah. I think it is. Yeah, Chelsea, Liverpool.
Yeah, Chelsea.
I don't think it's too nice. I'm still okay with Smith Rowe. I was doing some analysis on Fulham yesterday, so I went and watched their extended highlights against Ipswich, and I found him actually to be getting in the positions anyway, even though like nothing came to him apart from one shot, like which Iwobi set him up for. He was still there, and I just think like at home when you're going to be there and you have a bit more of the ball, and he's got the ball striking to kind of offset maybe like I don't know the fact that his legs aren't quite there between the game to get into some scenarios. I think he's like probably the best one for me. I think Minter's a clacken just because of the fixtures are pretty strong in the next two, but I still think like long term I prefer ESR.
And I was saying that I think we were saying this off stream at the start, but just how many options Brighton have, right? There's going to be a time I think where all of those players that play on the front line are going to be rotated. Yeah,
I mean, like Minter has so much competition. I really rate him as a player. He has so much competition. Plus, expected minutes coming off at 70, not as a result of fitness, but rather just a genuine substitution. Whereas I think Smith Rowe has less competition, and when he gets the minutes and physicality back, he'll be there for 90.
A good member of mine, Alexandru, has asked, I've made a couple of videos talking about Foden. What do you think about Foden? And if you were on your wildcard in Game Week 4, would you consider him?
I can't express how much I dislike the move.
Oh.
So my thinking with Foden is that I don't actually think he should, like, this is just my opinion, right? I don't think he should get back into the City side because, like, I don't think he's good enough, which is a crazy thing to say, I guess, because he just won Premier League Player of the Year. But I don't think he's better than De Bruyne in that role. I think Pep loves his balance in terms of having like Bernardo in that left eight or just someone else who's not Foden, so he doesn't have to play like dual tens. I also think Savio is brilliant for them off the right.
He has been ridiculously good, hasn't he?
I think his profile is more suited to them when they play like deeper structures, which they do often. And it's just like at 9.5, do you really want to be paying for a player that doesn't have expected minutes under his belt or like projected expected minutes, which are particularly good? I don't think so. So for me, I really just don't like it.
I like it. Yeah, fair enough, mate. I like that. I like those thoughts. That's really made me rethink it because I've been kind of big on him, but also conscious of those things you were saying, like where they've been playing so well without him. Where does he fit in? And also, we don't know exactly his like physical condition either. Apparently, he got ill from an Indian restaurant or something?
Yeah, I saw that. But like he's been ill for ages now. Like he dropped out the England thing. How bad was it? Oh, the other thing is, I think like that hasn't been spoken about much in general is we haven't actually had many injuries. Like if you think about it, Solanke's been the only real big one. That will definitely kick into groove when the volume of games increases and will increase rotation. And like we're not talking too much about the Carabao Cup, which is pretty soon, or the Champions League and all of that, and the traveling and the Club World Cup. So I think that would definitely have a factor in just like holding free transfers and getting players which are really good expected minutes is all going to help in that sense.
Just reading the chat, see if there's any questions.
I've got a question for you, actually.
Go for it.
Given that like 4 and 5 almost they're like paired together, but the way people are looking at them, how important do you think Salah's captaincy is in Game Week 5, especially as an owner? Like, how comfortable would you be captaining Haaland, like if you had to?
Haaland's got Arsenal, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I'd feel a little bit nervous about captaining Haaland. Having seen how he's gotten on against Arsenal in recent years, I think Saliba and Gabriel have done a real job on him in the times that he's faced them. Not necessarily saying that it might have even distracted them from the rest of the Man City players, but Haaland specifically has kind of been marked out of those games. Not necessarily saying Man City won't do well in them, but I would genuinely be a little bit nervous about having a captain Haaland in game week 5, to be honest. I don't know how you feel about
that. I probably don't feel as bad as I would last year. I think that City are going to beat them at the Etihad. I don't love Arsenal's midfield at the moment just because they've got Partey at 6 and I'm not really in love with that. I do think that Haaland just looks like a completely different beast this year. He looks so sharp. I think City looks so sharp, and I don't think that Arsenal will be able to restrict him anywhere near as much as they did last year. Nor do I think the game will be as cagey. So for me, I'm okay with it. Like, I think I can get like an 8-point out of there for sure because he accumulates so many chances. He should get 1. It's just the fact that I'm starting to really like Salah for game week 5. Like really, really like Salah for game week 5. Bournemouth, I actually think, are one of the teams that, when they're away from home, could be a decent team to target. So yeah, that's my main consideration.
And yeah, I think I know it's very simple, like FPL speak, I'm about to do it, but the most important thing for me is making sure I have the best captain every week. So that was the reason for going for Haaland and Salah in my team, because I saw game week 1, I thought Salah was the best captain, and I saw game week 5 and thought that's probably an opportunity to captain Salah as well. So for that reason, I just went for both of them. Because it's proven, well, with my rank after 3 game weeks so far, it's kind of proven to have happened, right?
Yeah, I think that was a great strategy. Like looking at captaincy in that way, because it is such a big thing for me. Like I was just like, oh, I'm really bullish on Haaland, and I'm going perma Haaland, and I'm cool with that. But I definitely like your strategy. I could even consider Son in game week 5 if I don't sell him this week, but I think I will. If Solanke's back, I'll definitely sell him. But if he's not, then it becomes a bit harder.
Yeah, do you think, I think I watched a bit of your video where you analysed the teams. I won't spoil it because it's great. You should check out Jian's channel, by the way, in the description. But you were saying that you think Solanke, or obviously Son playing on the left, kind of negates really his potency.
Yeah, I mean, like, he becomes a bit of a touchline winger, and I think like all the actions that he takes, a lot of them become very creative and build up focused. Whereas I think when you're playing at 9 in a 9 system, it's really looking to get on the end of things and actually be the one who finishes the goals. So with that in mind, if he is to play at 9 against Arsenal without Rice, I think it'd be a little bit stupid of me to sell him for Eze, because like I'm using a transfer there, right? I probably should keep him for that. I think I might just make a defensive move otherwise.
I'm just going to see who have Chelsea got in game week 5. So they got West Ham. So I mean, I don't have Palmer, but even Palmer could be a good option for that week, couldn't he?
He's definitely someone I was considering until I realized that I probably just want Eze more for the next 4 because he frees up so much cash, and I don't think Palmer, even though I'm not in love with Eze's fixtures, I think Eze just frees up so much cash, which allows me the flexibility for Salah down the line.
Yeah, definitely. And I just think the likes of Eze and Mbumo are just my kind of FPL players. They're on the pitch for pretty much every minute. They take all the set pieces. They just tick all the boxes, don't they? Which obviously Palmer does as well, but these guys are the same for a little bit less cash. Yeah,
for sure. I've started to really love that fundamental things as well. Like players like Saka, Mbumo, Eze, like Isaac, Havertz, Salah, like those type of guys, and just building your team solely with them.
And they're just always there and always have a chance. Even if their team doesn't play well, they just need to win a dodgy penalty, and then they've got a chance of scoring a goal.
Yeah, exactly.
An interesting plethora of players Sally is considering. They've asked Souček, Ahmad, or Aston Villa's Onana for game week 4 and 5.
They're all 5 million. That's what they have in common. Can I just suggest Rodgers instead?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say Rodgers, but if I had to go for one, who was the first one? Onana.
We had Souček, Ahmad, obviously Man United Ahmad, and then the Onana of Villa.
I'll go Onana. You know, let him keep up his streak. I don't think Souček's a bad option. I'm just like I'm not educated on his expected minutes. But if they're good and he's played 90 every game, then I'll probably go there. But if they're not, then I'd go Onana.
So let's see what Souček's been up to.
I know he scored against Palace, and I know he nearly scored against Aston Villa game week 1.
So he played 90 against Villa, 77 against Palace, and then only played 13 minutes against Man City. So I guess he came on as a sub in that game. Yeah. I think I'll go. I wouldn't mind gambling on Souček actually, because I know like he does have a brace in him now and again. So I don't really see the upside in Onana, so I'd probably just gamble Souček. Fair enough. I'll just see if he had any other questions on YouTube as well.
Yeah, of course.
couple in the chat. Hudson Odoi, Mitoma. Oh, Hudson Odoi to Mitoma or Eze for someone that's wildcarding in Game Week 6. Would you go for Mitoma or Eze, basically?
Oh, wow, that's a difficult choice. Obviously, Matoma's, I would say, got the better fixtures. I think it's close. They've both got 2 home fixtures. I guess it's big on how you interpret Man United. I think I'll probably just go Eze for security because you never know like who's going to score for Brighton. Yeah. What about yourself? Would you go Eze or Matoma?
I think I'd go Eze, just for the pure fact that fixtures might not be quite as good, but pens and free kicks I think just make him so much better. And he's good. He's obviously good at free kicks as well. So when he stands over a free kick, he's really got a chance of scoring it.
That's actually a really good point. I have not considered that. That's a good point.
What else we got? I'm pretty sure you pronounce it Tavernier, the Bournemouth midfielder, or Semenyo. Yeah. Who would you prefer out of those two?
So I've seen some chat because I didn't realize some Tavernier's underlying data was that good. I think I'd still go Semenyo because I like him more as a player. I trust him a bit more in terms of his finishing and stuff. But I don't think the Tavernier one's too bad given the underlyings that I've seen. But I would go Semenyo. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm just gonna have a look at Tavernier now. I didn't realise he was as good as he has been in terms of data, so I'm just gonna check him out. Stats. Oh wow. Yeah, they're both playing at a pretty similar level then in terms of XG, etc. I probably favour Semenyo just because he's the one that's really been getting the chances so far, but it looks like both of them have been pretty dangerous. I didn't quite realise that about Tavernier.
Same, I only found that out today as well.
Alexandru is asking Salah or Haaland for captain in Game Week 4.
Do you want to take this one? I'll go second this time.
I'd say Haaland.
Yeah, same. I'm gonna go Haaland. I think Forest are they're arguably a better defensive outfit than Brentford so far this season. And I think I'm more on board with Haaland's goal scoring than I am with Salah's overall threat. So yeah, I'm going Haaland.
I must say I do feel quite lucky with just how good Salah's been at the start of the season though, because I think that could have gone either way, because he obviously ended last season. I don't know. I think there was an AFCON last year, wasn't there? And he kind of got back from that and just didn't completely fall off, but just wasn't quite the player he was at the beginning of the season. But yeah, maybe it's the haircut that's done it, but he's been properly on it.
Yeah, more streamlined now.
Yeah.
He's been great.
One good question here: Mbumo or Eze? Who would you prefer out of the two of them?
What type of game week span are we talking?
I don't know. The question is literally Mbumo or Eze right now. I guess in the context of you buying them this week, I guess.
Yeah, I'll assume it's if you're buying this week and you're looking to hold until the next international break, and that's what end of Game Week 7. I'd go Mbumo. I really, really like him. As of the Friday before the deadline in Game Week 3, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm on this Mbumo train now, and I just really, really like him. For me, it's just that I don't love the Palace fixtures. I think after Man United, it's Everton away, and I think they'll have Branthwaite back for that. It's Forest away, it's Liverpool at home. I think they're all tough. They're all good defenses. Everton will become a good defense eventually when they get their players back, plus under Sean Dyche. So yeah, for me, I'd lean towards Mbumo, but it's close.
I like that. I genuinely say flip a coin at the moment. Flip a coin. Heads is Eze and then flip it, because yeah, it's really close. Although I think your argument, I don't think I can make a counter argument to what you said there about Mbumo. I think that's pretty solid.
It is, like you said, it is super close. Super, super close.
Thoughts on Nicholas Jackson?
I don't trust him to ever get 2 returns in a game because of his finishing. I think his link play is good, so he can definitely generate assists in that way. But given he's not particularly prolific in front of goal and he's not super clinical, as much as I think he's an okay player, I actually quite like him. I think at 7.5, you can just get your money better spent elsewhere. I prefer a fit Solanke. I really like Cunha when his fixtures turn. I really like Matthias Cunha at 6.5. I think João Pedro at 5.5. Havertz at 8. So yeah, I would personally avoid. And I think if you're going to go Chelsea, you may as well just pay the big bucks for Cole.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Steve Green, a member of mine, he says he's got Luis Diaz, Morgan Rogers, Eze, and Smith Rowe already, and he wants to get rid of Doku. But who should he buy for Doku based on those players that he's got?
So he's got So he's got it cut out a little bit. So he's got
That's
Smith
right.
Rowe, Diaz.
Yeah, Luis
Smith Rowe,
Diaz,
Diaz.
Smith Rowe, Rogers, and Eze.
And he's selling Doku. I mean, I guess it depends on how much money he's got. Like that's a really cheap midfield compared to most. So
How
does he have
much
a
is
lot of
Doku?
money? Because if he does have a lot of money, then I think like stretching to either going Saka now and committing to the long-term move, going Palmer, or trying to find a way to Salah through another transfer. I think I'd probably looking at like using the money there if I had it to go premium. But if not, who would I pick? I think maybe in Buemo, set and forget. You don't have to make the transfer for God knows how many weeks then. Like, yeah, sure, City away is not ideal, but like it is something that's just going to save you making one down the line. And you know what? Who knows? He can definitely get something away at City. It's not impossible. The models have him pretty high as well. Like I saw the hub model had him at like 4.8, which basically suggests like in the way I interpret it that he gets an assist like 80% of the time, or like 4.6, which I think is great when City away. So I wouldn't mind that at all.
Yeah, I think I'm in complete agreement with what you said there. I can't remember if they got a result at the Etihad last season, but they do have a pretty good track record to Brentford against the big teams. I think there was one season where they did beat them at the Etihad.
Yeah, I remember that was a Tony Brace, I think.
Yeah.
Like when they beat him 2-1. That was a wicked game. That was a really, really good game.
What else we got? Yeah, what do you think of? I saw Steve's mentioned Luis Diaz. Then we had a question about Luis Diaz. What do you make of Diaz as an option at the moment?
So I was on Alex's stream from Live Lounge, and he actually was pretty much like the only person I knew had him game week 1. And he's a Liverpool fan. He was talking about like to me about how he's looked really sharp, and he has he's looked really, really razor sharp. My concern with him though is when UCL starts, how much does Gakpo eat into his minutes? Like I prefer Gakpo off the left, and I wouldn't be surprised if there comes a game where Gakpo starts on the left. And even with the early subs, I think like there's so many good options like Eze and Mbeumo at that price tag. You don't constantly want to be having that battle and having to perform like within that short time scale. So for me, no. But I can understand why someone would go there. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'd say exactly the same. It's similar to kind of Brighton as well. He's got so many options for those positions. I think he's a great player, and it's probably like clearly the first choice because he's playing at the moment. But it only takes a drop in form, or like you say, Champions League, or an injury for injuries you get with any player. But yeah, I think rotations come in, so I'd agree. And obviously, Darwin Núñez can play off the left as well. He doesn't look to be favoured at all by Slot, but he can play there, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, I wonder if with Núñez it's a longer integration into the system. I still really believe in the guy, and I really rate the guy, and I do think eventually he could just hit his form, and that's why I didn't go Jota off the start. I do think that Núñez will come into the fold sooner than he has done, but yeah, we'll see with that one.
It's funny you mentioned Jota because we've just had a question. Who would you prefer out of Jota and Diaz if you could pick one? I'd say they're about the same for me. I don't really have a preference right now. I say Jota's a bit more injury prone as well, isn't he? Which would put me off a little bit. He's guaranteed, I think, to get an injury this season at some point.
I think my gut tells me Jota, but I think his expected minutes might be slightly better. I think his goal threat overall is slightly better. I thought Diaz was super clinical, or like for a second chance. First one was pretty much an open goal, but good positioning although. So yeah, I would probably go Jota for the goal threat.
We had a question about Cole, because you're a Chelsea fan yourself. Do you read anything into the Cole Palmer injury at the moment? Do you think it's like a real injury or just a standard international break one where he's going to come back next week?
Yeah, I'm going for a fake one. But like he seemed okay. Like I'm sure there's something there, but I just do think that like he didn't need to play this, right? Like there was no reason for him to go into these games. He's established himself. I think he definitely still has work to do to get into this England side like on a starting basis, but I think like he's still doing the business. So for me, I think he'll play against Bournemouth, and I'd be quite surprised if he didn't. Also, the fact that he's not playing in these stupid Conference Leagues games, I think is a good thing for him because it manages his load nicely.
Yeah, definitely. A question from Andrew. Sorry, I did see your comment. I was going to get to it, but he's asked. So he's got Gabriel and Porro in his team at the moment, and he wants to get rid of one of them for Robertson. Who would you get rid of out of Gabriel and Porro for Robertson, if you would at all?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can I say neither? So like my thinking is with like obviously you're using a transfer, and I'm just gonna like equate that to a 4-point value. I think this week you play Gabriel. The only reason I'm comfortable playing Gabriel this week is because Spurs are not very good at defending set pieces, and he's a monster in the air. So I think that's definitely an avenue to points. And also just overall decent defense. So you never know when they'll keep it clean. I'm assuming I'm talking without Rice. And then Porro from Game Week 5 I really like. So I'm just not sure if it's worth the transfer for Robertson. I think you have 2 decent games there anyway. And then after that, I think Robertson becomes the third after Game Week 5. So yeah, for me, I wouldn't make the move. If you did though, if you had to, I would actually sell Gabriel. I would sell Gabriel.
Fair enough.
Yourself?
God, I don't know. I'd probably go Gabriel. I just think Porro just has so much more attacking. I know Gabriel is good from set pieces, like you said, but what we've seen from Porro so far this season with his attacking threat is crazy. Are they in any European competitions, Spurs?
Chelsea, United. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Neither do I. I would say if the answer to that question is no, I'd definitely sell Gabriel. I think over Porro if Spurs aren't in Europe.
Yeah. I'm more like confident now. So yeah, I'd sell Gabriel.
What else? Blimey. A player combination question. Trent plus Anthony Robinson of Fulham, or Robertson plus Porro?
Sorry, it broke up in the middle.
Oh, that's all right, dude. He said Trent plus Robinson, the Robinson of Fulham, and then Andy Robertson and Porro versus Andy Robertson and Porro. Who would you pick?
Wow, that is a tough one. It's just that I like Trent quite a bit more than Robertson, I think, and I like Porro quite a bit more than Robertson. I'll go Robertson and Porro, and just hope that Robertson from Liverpool can like match Trent to some extent, because I do think that Porro will outscore Robinson.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm just conscious of time. I'll probably do a few more. Someone's asked, this guy's brother transferred out Watkins for Wood. Tell him what you think.
I actually quite like the Chris Wood option. I think, let's say Watkins does have a real injury, right? Or the expected minutes, which is not going to be great over the next 2. I think Woods look really sharp, and my concerns over his expected minutes have certainly lessened after how he's been playing. I mean, I think he's had the most shots, at least Forest have had the most shots in the league, right? And he's definitely going to be a big part of that. I think it's actually Semenyo who's had the most shots, and he's been in the positions consistently. He's not drifting too much. He's not a striker who does that. I think the fixtures are pretty decent, so I think it's cool. I think it's a cool way to free up some funds.
Fair enough, mate.
What about you? Do you like the move or not?
Yeah, I don't mind the move based on what we've seen so far. I do think Watkins is going to come good this season, though. Yeah, he's a proven Premier League goal scorer over multiple seasons, and the fixtures are good. But certainly, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, particularly if you freed up funds for other players, right? Because that's obviously 3 million you'd be saving from that. So yeah, I mean, you can buy a lot with that.
Can buy a lot with 3 million.
We had a question about Colwill as well. Would you keep hold of Colwill for upcoming game weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I just think there'll be spots in your team or rolling down the line will prove more optimal, as opposed to moving Colwill to another 4-5. There's no particular standout 4-5. If there was, it was Robinson, but the fixtures aren't. They're not bad. They're not great though. So for me, I think I'd just keep him and hope Chelsea at least keep one clean, and maybe you get an attack in return. Yeah,
and I've got a kind of a rule on luxury transfers, and I feel like Colwill to another 4.5 is a luxury transfer that just probably isn't worth it. And especially I quite like your thoughts of value in a transfer at 4 points. I just don't think that's worth it, really.
I agree.
What we got? Someone just saying Tottenham are in the Europa. Is that Europa Conference? I don't know. It says Tottenham's in some form of European
I think it's the Europa League. That's what I was thinking. They did start hot, so I did think that they finished above Chelsea. But
yeah, they were top of the league, weren't they, for a bit of time last season?
Yeah, I think they came 5th. I do think they came 5th.
You got anything else? Is there anything else in general you want to talk about? Anything you wanted to ask me at all?
Okay. I think what's your strategy going forward? You've had such a good start, and I'm not talking so much about the wild card, but what players are you looking at, and how are you looking to essentially kick on?
Yeah, it's just those 2 Brentford guys for me, I think, and dealing with Guardiola and the whole problem I've got in my defence.
why are you so specifically hot on Vissa? I know like a lot of people are hot on Mbeumo, but maybe you just like tell the viewers why you're so hot on Vissa.
I just have a feeling that with his ownership at the moment of João Pedro, I haven't had him so far, and I've gotten off to a strong start without him. So the thought of staying without him and going for a player that I also believe that Wissa may well outscore him, because I just feel somewhere down the line all of those Brighton players could be prone to rotation. And providing he doesn't get injured, I think Wissa plays every game. And I would say probably from open play, the two are probably equally as dangerous in my mind. The stats might not reflect it for just this season, but I think over the course of their times and careers with their teams so far, they're about the same. And Brentford's fixtures from 6 onwards are just really good. So yeah, I just like the thought of going for Wissa instead of the other option I would go for, which would be João Pedro.
Fair enough. I think that's a solid argument. I do think that with like João Pedro playing a lot of the minutes at 10 at the moment, as well back plays as well as he has done, like you definitely would rather have a 9. So yeah, I think it's close between them.
And yeah, I just want to get rid of Guardiola as well. So I think if we can save enough cash from the rest of my team, I'll go for Trent. But I wouldn't be too uncomfortable if I could only afford Robertson, and then just got to find a way to deal with Lewis Hall as well. Like you were saying, I just don't think he's quite lived up to the hype, and with more physical games, he probably doesn't get in the team.
To be fair, we did get 5 points game week 1.
We did. There was just so much promise in preseason, wasn't there? He was kind of a super attacking inverted. Well, I don't know if he was inverted, but he was definitely looking really attacking.
Yeah, he came inside a lot.
Just trying to think of anything else. Couple more questions. Would you say right now that Haaland is essential, if you actually like that word?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like averse to using the word. I just do think that with like how well, I guess some non-Haaland teams have done, you can't say that he's essential. However, I do think that like he is comfortably the best like player in the game. I still think he's better than Salah by some margin. And for me, I wouldn't call him essential, but if there was to be anyone, I would say it was him.
Fair enough.
You?
Yeah, it's got to be, hasn't it? Like, even though I said I'd captain Salah in game week 5, I still think he's just looks outstanding, doesn't he, Haaland? And I think he must have been injured or had a little niggle or something last season that was holding him back, specifically like towards the end. He just looks a completely different player, doesn't he?
Yep, 100%.
And I don't know how many he missed. I think he missed the most big chances in the league of any player last season. So just imagine if he put away like even half of the chances that he missed last season, he'd have another record-breaking year. So
he's been super clinical this year. I mean, like the finishes against West Ham, the finish against Chelsea, like even at Ipswich, he's looked really solid.
Any more questions that we haven't already covered? Sorry, guys, if you have asked questions and you feel like I'm skipping over them, it's just because we've answered them already. From someone else asking. Oh, quite an interesting one. We'll do 2 more. One being opinions on Mateta. What do you make of Mateta?
Oh, he's actually someone I saw on the timeline for the first time in a while yesterday. I don't mind it. I think like positionally he's been really solid. We've obviously seen what he can do towards the back end of last season. Like, yeah, he is quite expensive at 7.5 when you consider the category. So I think you'd have to have a lot of conviction to go there. But if you do, I really don't mind it. You?
Yeah, I agree. I would I don't know where Nketiah plays. He's signed now, isn't he? So I just guess it just depends how he fits in. But I don't see him completely displacing Mateta. I think the performance he had at the back end of last season, I mean, it completely saved my FPL team. So I think he's earned his place for a few more games at least. Yeah, I think he's a good option. I guess you're weighing him up against someone like, well, he's unfit at the moment, but someone like Solanke. So I think there are probably better options for that money or even cheaper, but I can't say he's a bad option for sure.
I wonder if they go split strikers, Nketiah, Mateta, and Eze behind as a 10.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work defensively, but like you could figure that out, I guess. It's not very common though, like at all.
We've already spoken about Isaac. Got anything else worth going for there? For game week 4, would you start Anthony Robinson or Pedro Porro?
The question was just Robinson or Porro, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Porro. I think the fixtures from 5 are pretty decent, and I prefer Porro's goal threat. I think Robinson has an out attacking threat, but a lot of it is assist orientated, whereas Porro's got both, and that too in abundance.
He's got everything in his locker, hasn't he? Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, yes.
Anything else you want to say, ask or mention at all?
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything. I think given that we're still like, I don't know, 5-6 days away, we're in the international break. Like, there's only so much, but I think we've covered a decent amount today.
It's just been great having you on the channel. Thanks so much for your time, mate.
Pleasure. No, I've really enjoyed it. It's gone by very, very quickly.
And yeah, you can subscribe to this channel. I've put a link in the description below, so check it out. Like I said, you did a fantastic video where you analysed all the teams. I've gotten, I'd say, like halfway through it so far, and then I had to go out today, but it's really good. So I definitely recommend people check that out.
Cheers, thank you very much. And a pleasure to be back on. I'm sure we'll do another collab in the next international break or pretty soon.
Sounds good, mate. All right, I'll leave it there. Take care, everyone.
Cheers. Thank you.